XAMPP, right? So did you try the program, the first program? What's your first program? Did you do it? No? Why? I mean, why didn't you do it? What was the problem? Did you get a problem there? Oh, you went to your hometown. Means sorry, do not stop in the lab and could install my personal laptop or I'll do it today. Okay, these are excuses, okay? These are not problems. Problem is something different. I consider problem as a different thing. Fine, no issues in that. Okay, so let's today let us go ahead and see what are the configuration files in our Apache and PHP. Okay, so it's a very important class for the people who wants to learn from the scratch, like what happens behind. Sometimes PHP programming will throw some errors on the browser, so you guys must know where should I go for rectifying this particular error, right? So you should have that control, right? But coming to, I mean, if it's a dedicated server, I accept that you can really do it. But sometimes you go for a shared server, which you can't really do much about it unless and until your hosting provider gives you that permission for only your particular program. Okay, so it again depends. I say that's what I really mean over there. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we really got here. You guys see anything here on the screen? Yeah. Okay, so here we are supposed to go to our folder here, XAMPP. Okay, now coming to here, Apache, you can see here the folders in your computer if you have installed this. Okay, so you can see this Apache, you can see this CGI bin, htdocs, okay, and then Perl, MySQL, and mail output, mail to this. So these are the respective softwares which were installed along with our different along with the XAMPP. So when you install XAMPP, these are software that have been installed. So we don't really care about the other folders, but I seriously say we only care about Apache, htdocs, and MySQL and PHP. Okay, so these are the four folders which really matter to us the most. We don't really care about the others, we only need these folders. So first, as I told, it's about Apache configuration, right? So where do we go? We go into the Apache folder here, right? Apache folder, and then conf. See the conf here, and httpd.conf. Open it with Notepad or Notepad++. Open it here, and this is the configuration file. You can see it here. This is the main Apache HTTP server configuration file. It contains the configuration directories that give the server its instructions. Okay, it has a lot of things here, and you can see this hash symbol here. The hash symbol here means that's a comment. So it's not actually working out there, but it's just a comment out there. Okay, so wherever there is nothing like this, that means Apache will read that file, like say that line. So like here there is nothing, right? There is no hash, it's plain. That means this is a valid statement, this is not a comment. So that means server root. What is the server root? It says the server root is this particular folder. Okay, then what is the port number? So listen, even they have given the description here. What does listen mean? What is server root? See, server root, the top of the directory tree under which the server's configuration, error, and log files are kept. Okay, coming to here, listen allows you to bind Apache to specific IP addresses. Okay, listen specific IP. This is the port number, actually port number 80. Then there are some general things, but here is the main, like here server name. You see that localhost, we I told you, right? Whenever you type localhost, you get that particular htdocs folder. Whenever you hit that, that's what server name gives, a name and port the server used to identify itself. So localhost is the server name. Okay, and then the document root, this is the root directory of the documents. I told you htdocs is the directory wherein all the files are placed, the php files, right? So if you want to change, you can change everything, like, I don't want that to be in htdocs, I want to be in something else. I don't want the server name to be localhost, I want the server name to be something else. Okay, but yeah, just be careful, don't ever try to write overwrite something in the server, in the configuration file, unless and until it is really required. Okay, so that's about it. And what else we have here? We may have something else here. So these are all, again, if you really want to explore, okay, they have given something also, like for everything they have given an example here where you want to really go, or they say like just hit this particular address, you will find all the information like this. So just copy this and paste in your browser, so that, or the address bar, so you see everything out there. Okay, so I'm just showing you guys, this is a file where if you want to change some configuration settings. Okay, so like any configuration setting which you really wanted to do it, so I mean, only when you know something about it, just try to change it, or else everything will be ridiculous, like it won't really work. So as soon as you change your configuration, you have to restart your server, you have to stop it and start it again, so that the changes will be reflected then. Okay, so you have to stop it. So let me just close this, because Skype and XAMPP work on the same port number 80. So I told you, whenever your Skype is on, you can't really not do this. Now I start it again. Right? So you have to restart the server whenever you make some changes to it. Alright, so that's about the Apache configuration, and now let's go. So, and there are some other, like, these are again different configuration. You see .cynf, like the language configuration, and virtual host, this is a very important concept, and SSL proxy configurations. So there's a lot of configuration files out there. If you really want to explore, I suggest go to the Apache website and try and explore yourself. Alright, that's the best way to do it. And the other thing, okay, I want to show here is the logs here. So you can see here error logs. Okay, or sorry, logs here. Okay, so whenever there's an error in your http, then this is where you can really come here, and you can just check it out. Say, like, for instance, this file is just written 1749, it says. So there's some error, that means. So let's just check it out. So this gives everything here, all the errors, what's really happened. So this is from June 7th. You see here. So there, I mean, if there is an error in your starting of your Apache server, web server, of this, if sometimes there will be some errors regarding to the web server, so everything will be caught here only when you allow it again. I mean, this will be allowed defaultly, because you have to debug your errors, what's really happening on your browser, sorry, on your website. All right, so that's about the Apache, and we talked about htdocs. Now let's go to PHP here. This is very interesting. So coming to the PHP here, the configuration file is just in the top level, unlike Apache, when you have to go to the conf file. But you can see it here, the configuration settings, it says php.ini is a file. Alright, php.ini is the configuration. See here about php.ini. This says is responsible for configuring many of the aspects of PHP's behavior, it says. And coming to here, the comment is the semicolon here, whereas in Apache the comment is hash. Here the comment is semicolon. So wherever there's a semicolon, it's commented out. You can see it doesn't even read, but you can and this is really cool. I really love this configuration file, because everything is properly documented over there. Like, if you really suppose, for instance, coming here, okay, enable the PHP scripting language engine under Apache. So it's defaultly on. You can, if you turn it off, that's it, it's gone. You can't really do anything about it. Okay. And that, I mean, these settings are really cool. But okay, whenever there's, whenever some error is thrown out on the browser saying that, suppose, whenever you are trying to upload a file and the default layer, okay, let me just say max upload or upload. Okay, you can see here upload max file size to 2 MB. Okay, and where you want to take that temporary uploads, you want to take to temporary folder, and how many uploads for a single request, only 20 uploads. So sometimes this error will pop out on the browser, so you should be checking that. Okay, so you should be checking that whenever error is thrown out. So you can change this to, so change this to 10 MB, like say for instance when people are uploading large files. Okay, so again the same thing is, applies here also. If you change anything here, you have to restart your server for those changes to be appearing here. Okay, and again I say, if you really want to explore yourself with this ini file, you can explore. But again, if you really want to make some changes, know the changes first even before you are doing it. Okay, so just don't blindly do some change and expect it to work. But yeah, if you really want to say, for instance, okay, I'll tell you, uh, so let me just here, for instance, log errors. You can see here log errors is on. Okay, so if you really want to change the value, so the default value is off, and in development you should put it on, and in production you have to keep it on, it says. Okay, so that's one thing, that's few things you are supposed to remember. Like, it again says display errors. This is an important factor, display errors. So display errors, like, default values on, in development you have to put it on, and in production it should be off. So what this means, they'll say this directive control whether or not and where PHP will output errors. So sometimes you see these errors on the browsers, they're not really good actually. So, if there's a hacker out there, he can really see out the error, and he will just get into your website, the back end of your website, through that error. Okay, so now that's when that's where you should be careful, and that's the reason people say in production, when you are going live, just turn off this particular field, display error should be off, because nobody else should see. Instead, log those errors, like say log those errors in a file wherein you can only see those errors. Okay, that's what I really do. But again, mine is a shared hosting where I can't really control that. Okay, any questions here? Yeah, I mean, it's up to you again. See, if you, I mean, sometimes PHP will throw errors, and sometimes, see, the reason why I'm saying this is that tomorrow, if you're in development thing, okay, you're in development and you want to change something, where do you look for? You have to look for the configuration settings. So that's the reason I'm thinking of this. But I don't really mean that you change the file. You can change it, but only when it is necessary. Okay, so you don't have to do that. Alright, so that's about that, and I'll talk about the MySQL configuration when we go into MySQL. Okay, so whenever we just go and see the MySQL concept, then I'll tell you guys about the configuration settings of that. But what I really, today's task for you guys is to, just go through it, and this is really important. Like, error level constants. Okay, this is an like interview question. Okay, just go through this. It's in line number 500. in your php.ini file. And you see here, this is again another important thing, maximum execution time. Okay, so what happens really is that, when there's a script in your PHP file which is taking more than 30 seconds, it throws an error saying that, execution time has been reached. Sometimes you definitely see this error. So where do you go to change it? This means that is 30 seconds. Okay, I can change it to 300 seconds, which is nothing but 5 minutes. You can also change it to 3000 seconds, which means, so 3600 almost equal to 1 hour, 54 minutes, I guess, or sorry, 48 minutes. So you can definitely do that. So these are the things you are supposed to know, like where should I go whenever I see this error, maximum time execution time reached. Okay, some things like that. This is the file where you have to go and change the settings so that you can really go and you can change those settings so that your script works. All right. Okay, so that's about these two configurations. So I really suggest you guys to go ahead and explore these files, and that's about it. And let's see one small concept here which I call variables. So we have discussed that in the previous class. I've shown you guys some variables wherein I assigned a value to a variable and printed it out there, right? So now today just a small introduction of the variables. And again, you have to definitely do that. Now you guys have time, right? So let's assume the class is until 6:30. I leave you guys in the next 10 minutes, and the next 20 minutes try that particular program. Even the video is out there, and send it me by 6:30. What do you guys say? Okay. All right. Nice. Just repetition what I've told on that class. Go to the end of the class, you will see the assignment what I have told over there. Okay, so and here let's talk about variables here. So you guys know, you guys have come to the JavaScript class, and now you guys know that what is a variable. A variable is something which stores a value, right? Why is it called variable? Because I can change the value anytime I like to. Variable is that thing. Okay, in PHP, all the variables starts with dollar. Remember this. All the variables start with dollar, and the same rules, like every variable should start with a alphabet. It can be, actually I don't use capital letters for variables. So like this. Okay, like this, that's a valid variable, and this is not a valid variable. Okay, that's not a valid variable, and even this is a valid variable. Okay, it can start with an underscore, it can start with a alphabet, but it cannot start with a number, or it cannot start with a it should not even contain special characters like any other special character, except that dollar is the standard for which it has to start. Okay, so I have certain rules here for the variables. I have again told this in we have discussed about these things in the JavaScript class, but however I want to really discuss them again because you don't have to do that mistake again. So whenever you name a variable, okay, whenever you name a variable, name it with a meaningful name. Like for instance, say you have a variable to store age of a particular person. So if I say $x equal to 24, and somebody else come here and check it out, what does $x mean? I mean, what is this? So always try to give a meaningful name to your variables. So this is a meaningful name, right? So people now know, okay, this means age. All right, so meaningful. I mean, if it is really good, you can also use more meaningful names. Like suppose age. So there are several ages, like age of a tree, age of a what you call age of a building. So you can be more specific, like age of the student equal. So now you can observe one more rule here. Whenever there are multiple words in the variable, okay, whenever there are multiple words in the variable, I'm using a underscore over there. So that's a best practice. I don't say you have to use it. Now some people really use this. So when I look at it, it's quite messy, right? You know, whenever some person has come out there, and what if he looks at the code and he feel like, what is this? I mean, I read it as, I know it's age of the student because I have written, and if he shows the same thing to somebody else, he may think like AGGOF, he's student. So always make some meaningful names, but when there are different words in the variable, so try to separate them using an underscore. Okay, no special characters, no spaces, never ever use them. Okay, and it should not start with a number. So these are certain rules for the variables, and those are the rules for naming the variable. So my thing is only one, like always give meaningful names and separate the words. Like for instance, first name is something like that. I never ever use capital letters in the your variables. First name is, say, let's say my first name is Sagar, so like such. So the variable values can be capitals or whatever you like, but yeah, the variable name should be like that. Okay, so and coming to the types, tomorrow's class we discuss about types of data types, and we see operators. I'm not gonna describe anything at all. We have read everything like this: if else condition and loops. Tomorrow we will wrap up all this in single shot. Types, operators, if else conditions, okay, and we see the arrays and everything in tomorrow's class itself. And then we go into our actual PHP where we start processing the form. Okay, so we see how to process a form, what is happening when you submit a form. That's what the Wednesday's class. All right, so for now I'm gonna end this class here. So I'll be looking forward for your assignment or whatever the program you're trying to do. Just send it out to me by the end of 6:30. If you send it after 6:30, I'm not gonna consider it. I'll just delete the email. Okay, so send your finished things to tutoslive.help@gmail.com. Okay, send your finished programs here, and just please leave a feedback of this class. Maybe we haven't discussed much about the class, but that really makes a difference for me. All right, so take it guys, have fun. So we'll see tomorrow, but don't forget the emails. Okay, yeah, no problem, no issues. Take care, have fun.